Welcome into Factfinder Investigates. I'm Dylan Domingue. Questions have been raised about the death of a Wichita man hit by a police car driven by a Wichita police officer. His death is under investigation by the Highway Patrol, but we're learning more about what first responders knew or didn't know that night. That question was brought to Factfinder 12, and we pulled the radio traffic. It shows the police officer who hit the man last month never told dispatch someone had been critically hurt. Factfinder investigator Brandon Stitt takes you through the call that night and what we know about the response.
First, this crash is now classified as a criminal investigation, so most of our requests for public information have been denied. We can't even get a copy of the crash report or basic dispatch information, things that we've requested and received in the past, but not this time, as all of those requests are once again denied. But we do have a copy of the radio traffic, and you will hear exactly what the dispatchers heard that night.
February 17th, just before 8 p.m., Seneca and MacArthur. A Wichita police officer hits and kills 51-year-old Jeffrey Moss. This is what the dispatchers hear that night.
26. 26, go ahead. Can I get EMS 39 to Seneca and MacArthur? Man down.
The officer calls in a man down, which according to the city and county is by definition a lower priority call, describing a person down in a public place. It is not meant for traumatic injuries or crashes. The officer does escalate the call by requesting the ambulance to use lights and sirens, which typically doesn't happen because it's a lower priority.
There appear to be some irregularities in the procedure heard on the dispatcher tape.
That's Wichita attorney Dan Monnett, who has no connection to this case. He points out the officer never tells the dispatcher he hit a person or that Jeffrey Moss is critically hurt. He does, however, call for his own supervisor and ask a street to be blocked.
Do we need to block anything coming in? Yeah, we need to block all of MacArthur, get a check out.
1048, injury accident, would be a much better communication of the urgency of the situation.
Here's why. The way the officer called it in, according to the city and county, triggers a response for one ambulance with 2 paramedics and a fire truck with a minimum of 2 firefighters. But what happened was an injury crash involving a pedestrian in critical condition. Had that call been made, dispatchers would have sent an ambulance, EMS district chief, and 2 fire trucks with at least 5 firefighters. But that's not the call firefighters hear. They don't even know what they're responding to.
Officer Squad 12, do you have any info on this call?
Not at this time. We've got 3 PD units on scene, and all they've told us so far is it's at 1332 West MacArthur, and they need EMS 39.
And the ambulance dispatched is delayed.
31 are going to be delayed by train. 10-4 delayed by train.
Even then, nothing is relayed to dispatch that Jeffrey Moss is critically hurt, not by the officer who struck Moss or other officers arriving on scene. Not until firefighters get there do they know how badly he was hurt.
Now, could all of this be explained by the shock and panic of a sudden automobile crash? Maybe, but there are certainly questions that arise from the dispatcher tape that have to be addressed. Why does it take so long for someone to communicate trauma, man hit by police car?
Questions police can't answer. Not yet, because it's an ongoing investigation. In a statement, police say, in the interest of transparency and accountability to the citizens of Wichita and the family of the pedestrian, Chief Sullivan contacted the Kansas Highway Patrol on the night of the incident and requested that it conduct a complete investigation. Once that investigation is completed, a report will be provided to District Attorney Mark Bennett for review, and that, if appropriate, disciplinary action will be taken. But until the investigation is complete, questions remain about the night Jeffrey Moss was struck and the response in the moments thereafter.
This is what we know about the crash. The Kansas Highway Patrol is leading the investigation. We know it was dark and Jeffrey Moss was crossing the street outside of a crosswalk. Once complete, troopers will present the facts to the district attorney for review. Now, as part of our investigation, I've been in contact with the family, and because that crash is still under investigation, they did not wish to speak on camera.
Thanks, Brandon. During severe weather, one of the most dangerous places you can be is in your car. Right now, storm shelters can be found along the Kansas Turnpike, but beginning this summer, the KTA will be doing away with some of those shelters. I looked into what you should do if you find yourself on the road in a storm. Along 236 miles of the Kansas Turnpike are these tornado shelters found at most toll plazas. But as the KTA moves towards cashless tolling starting in July, most of these shelters will be going away.
We will no longer have employees at those toll plaza areas, and the toll plazas will be completely reconfigured over the next 18 months.
While the underground bunkers were intended to be used by workers in the event of severe weather, the shelters also provided a safe option for drivers on the road.
It's a pretty rare situation that those tornado shelters are used. Maybe a couple of times a year, if that.
But say you're in the rare situation driving on the Turnpike, and then you get a notification that a tornado warning has been issued in your area. What should you do if a shelter isn't available? Well, Vanessa Pierce with the National Weather Service says it's important to know where you are and how close you are to the nearest exit or service station.
Is there any sort of viable exit or option shelter? Finding a sturdy shelter is going to be your best option.
But if drivers are out on the open road, Pierce advises for people to get down to the lowest point, like a ditch, and to avoid overpasses.
Don't park under the overpass and then think you're going to get up under the girders and that's going to provide protection, because the winds can actually be channeled through there and can be stronger.
As for future safety options, the KTA says storm shelters will still be available at the Turnpike's 6 service locations. Reporting in Wichita, Dylan Doming, 12 News.
We need to protect our eyes because the damages can be they can last forever.
It is the 21st century, so there's also nothing stopping anybody from downloading the ISO graphics, putting it on there.
Not wearing certified solar eclipse glasses can end up causing harm to your eyes. We investigate fake eclipse glasses sold online, coming up next.